I asked members of my mailing list to send me their channels to review, and on the form I asked them to write down what they struggled with the most on YouTube. And nearly every single one of the 700 plus who applied wrote something that was telling me they couldn't actually see what the biggest problem they had with their channel was. So now myself and Aaron, who's been helping film booth clients grow, are going to review some of these brave applicants who sent in their channels and enable you and them to spot the warning signs of this gigantic problem that will stop your channel growing in 2023 if you don't fix it. So this first channel we're going to look at is from Caitlin, and she's got a cooking channel. She wrote in her form that her biggest struggle right now is her view count. And she said, I'm having some videos peak at 40, but others are reaching 100 plus. Look, there's a lot of different reasons why some videos get more views than others, but we're just gonna look at one thing in particular now to help you solve this. Aaron?
Yes.
I've got this image on screen. So this is one of Caitlin's thumbnails. In terms of this video, what do you think the most important thing for the viewer is to see?
The end result of the food.
And what do you think, as a result of that, the biggest problem with this image is that's stopping it getting clicks?
Well, it's getting covered up by text and colours, so it doesn't really show off the food the way you would want it to.
That's it. In its simplest form, that is one of your biggest problems you've got on your channel right now. In all of your thumbnails, you're covering the thing the viewer cares about. So the simplest way to fix this is to do what this lady's doing, the domestic geek. So Aaron, is there anything that sort of you find appealing about the domestic geeks?
I mean, I'm instantly, like my mouth is watering, right? Especially with all the different, iced coffees and milkshakes. But it's just showing you with like a simple, clean image and, nice and vibrant colors, what the result is going to be. I'm instantly hungry.
Any other thoughts on Caitlin's thumbnails?
Showing result is probably stronger than showing the process, because this one has like more ingredients on it than other things. So really finding a way to show off the hero of your thumbnail, show off what people are going to be clicking on.
If we use an example of this image here, instead of showing the house, you're showing the bricks. And no one's going to buy a house based on the bricks. So perfect point there, Aaron. All right, so there's one more thing we just want to touch on, and it's your titles. So Aaron, what do you think is a problem with a title like this?
Well, the thing for me is they feel a little bit search-based, which makes sense in a way, but if you really want people to quickly, see a thumbnail that's striking and then click on a title, is you want to add in some kind of intrigue or something that's a little more powerful than just like, here's 4 recipes. You really want to draw them in with something like incredibly tasty or super unique or the secret to the best cakes or something like that.
Yeah, so what we've got here, we want to be keeping our titles below 50 characters if possible. So you've got 4 tasty breakfast recipes, which is a good start, and then you've made it really specific using Pillsbury dough. Now, what if they're like, I'm not really interested in Pillsbury dough, but they should be. And actually, in the video, if you showed them how to use it, they might be super interested in it. So you kind of have to break down objections viewers might have to clicking on your content and make sure that you're not including anything that might put them off. So 4 tasty breakfast recipes your kids will love. If that was your avatars and if they had kids, that's the sort of title that would be enough. Everything else that came across, especially Full Dishes episode 2, well, you've put episode 2 in. That's going to kill the video of everyone who hasn't seen episode 1. Okay, so next up we have MC Metro, and they said the problem was this: I always feel I have a healthy subscriber count, however it's not necessarily proportional to the views. So let's have a look at the channel to see if we can establish how we can help with this. So Aaron, the second you land on this channel, what do you think they could do to get more of their subscribers to come back to their content?
Well, really kind of figuring out how to make what you're showing off look nice. Again, it comes back to that hero that we were talking about. Like, these, in a way, look just like toys. Whereas, if you really get in there and figure out like a nice angle with a nice background, you can show it off in a way that looks a lot more impressive, because these people are obsessed with mini trains anyway. So that's what you want to show off.
Yeah. So I would think about it like this. What to your viewers is the most interesting and fascinating thing about model railways? Now, I'm going to take a complete guess here. Aaron, I'm going to get you to take a guess too. Actually, Aaron, you guess first. What do you think the most interesting thing to people who like model railways is?
How realistic they can look?
Yeah. So to me, I kind of feel like maybe they love the tiny little details on a train or on a house that make it look super real. So the first thing you should be doing when you're coming up with a new thumbnail is researching and looking at other people's thumbnails within your niche, maybe even outside it too. So I did a little bit of an explore, and I found a channel who's really doing well. They're called Tylentum?
Sure.
Not sure how to pronounce that. But this guy, 70,000 views on a model railway video. That's pretty impressive stuff. What sticks out to you about these thumbnails, Aaron?
It looks incredibly realistic. The one on the top right, I'm like, is it fake? Is it tiny? The one below it as well. I'm like, that just looks like a station until you see the person on the right, It's also incredibly realistic, which is really powerful with diorama building.
Yeah, I would click on that as someone who has no interest in this niche because I can't quite make out if it's real or not. And again, it goes back to photography here. So this image in particular, they've taken this shot with the background's blurred out, which makes it look even more realistic, right? This could be a hilltop. So I think they have really picked up nicely on what the viewers care about. And again, no real text on these images. They're very, very simple, and you're, putting sort of effects and things on the images, but also I think have a play with your lighting as well, and bring up the brightness slightly so that these things stick out a little bit more. So next up we have Nikita, and he said his problem is attracting new viewers because his niche is fairly small and limited. Let's start with the first thing that you can probably get more views with. Aaron, is there anything that jumps out straight away?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the angle you want to take, you're going, again, for something that's quite niche. Obviously, Lord of the Rings is something that is kind of getting popular with the Amazon show coming out, but there are other things about beer brewing that are probably even wider form of interest, right? Something like Oktoberfest or another beer brewing festival is going to bring in more people with the relevant interest compared to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so I think you've made the right choice in that you've tried to target a trend here, but the wrong choice in that is Lord of the Rings associated with beer that much? Going back and looking at your ideas, there are some that work here, but I think you've taken a bit of a wild card approach here with the Lord of the Ring ones. I think you should be looking at these other channels. So we've got this one called Clawhammer, and they get quite a lot of views on their videos. 165,000 in a month is a lot. Aaron, is there any sort of pattern that you notice straight away which is helping them get those sort of views?
Yeah, I mean, the thumbnails are quite clear and quite simple. Obviously they're going to the extreme into like expired beers, dangerous to drink, barely legal. But on top of that, again, we're coming back to that hero in the thumbnail, right? It's showing off the brew that you're going to be talking about.
So you tend to find extremes always do well on YouTube. Brewing the strongest homebrew, allowable by law. You want to know what happens, right? And a few things fire up in your mind, like, what, does someone drink it? Like, how strong is it? Would I be able to drink that? And that makes the thumbnail and title really intriguing and highly clickable. So these guys have got some fun ideas. I think your channel is very much targeted to the people who are already very, very interested. And that always makes your audience a little bit smaller. Aaron, if you were going to redesign 5 things I wish I knew before I started brewing as a thumbnail, and that's a strong title,
yeah,
what do you think you'd put in it?
Either something that is super obvious that everyone does when they start brewing, or something that is very clearly a mistake, and then have something like some text or an arrow pointing at it saying like, don't do this, or something like that.
Another thing I just want to talk to you about with thumbnail design is, Aaron, what does your eye notice as soon as you see this? What's the first thing that sticks out to you?
Things.
Yeah. And what is the first thing, do you think, that should stick out to someone in a video about brewing?
Brewing equipment or hops, something like that.
Yeah, something related to the thing they care about that is visually clear. So maybe this here, maybe this thing here you've covered. How do we get around using text, if we wanted to stick with this, so that it doesn't stick out first and stop us from seeing the things that we should actually notice?
Well, like I said, something like arrows can really help, making text just a little bit smaller. But generally, like, having the thing that is actually relevant be either in the middle of the frame or a focal point somewhere.
So really, we wouldn't be able to show much of your face here, but like, this is the interesting bit here. So it's getting used to sort of design and photography again.
One of the things to keep in mind as well is, like, if something's really small in the corner, it might not immediately be obvious what it is. To me, those could be coffee beans, and I would be like, yeah, sure, but they're not, right? And you want to make that clear.
I thought they were coffee beans as well, actually. Okay, so this next channel is Tim, and It's been an interesting problem he said he had, or a struggle. He said his biggest struggle was on-camera presence, and I'd say it's not on-camera presence at all. Tim, you are a street photography channel. Aaron, as a street photography channel, what do we need to see in these thumbnails?
Street photography, and as much as these are amazing images, right, it doesn't give us the context as to what it is. A lot of the photos just are like reflections of things and, you know, things through glass or in the rain. But if you want to show off street photography, it's great to have that context rather than having London or Bristol as a word, having, you know, London at night or Bristol streets or whatever it is in the image is really going to help you get that across more.
I know that your style is a bit more abstract, but look here, it's from Jason Vong. 5 priceless street photography tips. So he's got this thumbnail where the guy in the orange jacket is contrasting. It looks like a street in its simplest form. I found another one as well that I thought was really clear street photography. This is from someone called Pierre, and let's just go by his most viewed. Here, you know, 5 must-know street photography tips. He's in the street, on the floor. So one thing I think you should try is this. You don't necessarily need to leave your sort of abstract style, but in this latest video, how to use reflections to add depth and layers. Aaron, what would you do if that was you?
Well, so I probably either not use text or have it in a way that's a little bit more meaningful and then make it more obvious that it's a reflection, because I can see it, but I don't know if it's clear to anyone else who is looking at this with, you know, less of a photography background. It looks amazing, but I don't know what I'm looking at necessarily.
Aaron, anything you want to add on the titles?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell, right, that almost all of these are being cut off, which probably means they're a little bit long. Again, really, rather than just leading with street photography, or you want to build a question in the mind of the person seeing your thumbnail and title. So again, something that is concise, something short, that really like emphasizes the point you're talking about. Secret to amazing street night photography or something along those lines. It's going to be more powerful than street photography at night in London.
Yeah, you're kind of like saying exactly what it's about. We need a bit more intrigue there. So then our final channel. Biggest struggle here was how to break through the 10K views faster per video. If you want to get more views faster, you need more clicks. So guess what we're going to be looking at right now?
I wonder if it's titles and thumbnails.
It is the biggest blocker on YouTube. Hopefully, by now you're starting to see a pattern as a viewer. Aaron, what are the problems with these thumbnails?
So this is about kite surfing, right? And people who love kite surfing love the action of it, the feeling of it, you know, the wind and the waves. And this isn't really showing much of that action. Text is covering things. There's, you know, bits and pieces, different pictures in one image. I want to see just like you on a kite surfboard, is that what it's called? Having the best time of your life, because that's the thing people want to connect to when they're not kite surfing, right? As opposed to someone walking on a beach. That's not necessarily relevant as much to that person.
So this is a thumbnail.
Yeah.
Just type in kite surfing on Google. These images, you're selling people the dream. That's why you need to show them the thing that they love. And at the moment, it's just too clogged up. Especially this one in particular. This is committing a crime I call the inside joke. So if you put something in your thumbnail image that the viewer will only understand once they've watched your video, it's not helpful to get a click. So you've got Morpheus, but why is he in the thumbnail? I think get rid of him, get rid of all the text, have just this nice shot of you kite surfing, maybe pump the saturation up a little bit and play with the contrast, and you're going to break way more views. So then let's have a look at the titles here as well. Keep your hair dry while kiting.
Again, is a title that feels long and has a whole chunk that isn't necessarily relevant or building that intrigue. You know, kite surfing transition in 3 steps might just be enough on its own. I still feel like there might be a more powerful way of really getting people to be like, oh, I want to click on this because it's something that they recognize or something that makes it feel like you know something they don't. But yeah, again, like, is keeping your hair dry just about getting wet or not?
So keeping your hair dry is going to be a term for not falling in.
Okay.
So this is about kite surfing transitions that you can do that mean you won't fall off. You could probably just show a comparison. And I talk about these thumbnails a lot because they're so powerful. Left-hand side of the screen, show the thing they shouldn't be doing with the cross. Right-hand side, show the thing they should be doing. Or the left-hand side could even just be you on the kiteboard trying to get back on soaking wet. And the one on the other side is you having a great time with dry hair. If you say keep your hair dry, it doesn't necessarily instantly mean that much unless that is a term within the niche that everyone understands. What about the new people who don't? Thank you so much to our brave applicants. You all will be sent $100 as a thank you. And if you want to sign up for my next channel review video and get the ability to have your questions answered and exclusive content, then check out the link below. But more importantly, make 2023 the year you take your thumbnails to the next level, because it really is one of the ultimate reasons channels don't grow. But also, you want to be making sure that the experience you give your viewers once they hit play absolutely blows them away. How the heck do you do that? Well, there are 3 really powerful tools any YouTuber, no matter how small, can use, and you can learn what they are in only 7 minutes and 34 seconds simply by watching this video here next.